Welcome to Light Her Up, your go-to podcast for exploring what it means to align with your passions and create a life filled with freedom, ease, and fulfillment. I'm your host, Natalie Bernacchi, a mom, entrepreneur, and certified coach who left a 15-year corporate career to build a life aligned with my passions and help other women do the same. We'll be diving deep into topics like self-discovery, mindset shifts, and the courage to pursue the life you've always dreamed of. Thank you for being here and for prioritizing yourself. I'm honored to be a part of your journey. If you're ready to find your joy, reclaim your identity, and upgrade your life, you're in the right place. Now let's light it up. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the Light Her Up podcast. Today's episode is a bonus episode I really wanted to share with you because it feels so aligned with the conversations I've been having with so many of you lately. I sat down with my co-founder in the CEO Besties, Emily, and we had a candid conversation about what the last year of building together has actually looked like. The wins, the lessons, the unexpected pivots, and what became crystal clear as we supported dozens of women building businesses alongside full lives. In this episode, we unpack how one simple conversation turned into sold-out masterminds, a year of in-person community, and ultimately the creation of the Launchpad Society, a virtual space designed for women building a business that supports their life, not the other way around. We talk about the stage so many women find themselves in when the dream is real, the ambition is there, but the structure, clarity, and support are missing, and why community, mindset, and strategy together change everything. You'll love this one if you're a woman building a business in the middle of real life and you're ready to move from someday to actually doing the thing. Now let's get into it. Hey, besties. This is Natalie here.
And Emily.
And we wanted to record this episode together because it's January 2nd of 2026. It's a brand new year, and we've officially been building this business together for about a year now. I can't believe it.
No, it's wild.
It's nuts. And it just felt like the right moment for us to take a pause and have a look back at the year.
Because honestly, so much has happened. Like a lot more than we ever expected.
You guys, we're trying to record this podcast episode. I'm just going to say, I have my two kids here. We're on winter break. Both of my kids are in elementary school, and they're with me on my work day, and they were very excited. I prepped them that Emily and I were recording a podcast and to be quiet, and they're not being quiet. So apologies. And also Emily has a brand new baby on her. So if
literally on me. In the carrier right now.
In the carrier.
And just to clarify, I would have never done a podcast episode with baby 1, 2, or even 3. Like this is baby number 5, and I've learned a few things. And actually, I've spent the last few weeks like resting so much. I've just been home. I sleep in. My husband makes breakfast for all the other kids. Like we've rested so much and just been enjoying all the newborn snuggles and all of that. And so with work, I've actually just only done things that I want to do. And anything I don't want to do, I just have not, with zero guilt.
I love that. And I just think it goes to show that's how you've built your business and how we've built our business. And a lot of the things that we're going to talk about in this episode are about those learnings of really leaning into alignment and what feels really good. And how even for me and you building a business together, the way that you build your schedule works for you, the way that I build my schedule works for me. And that's really the only way that it's ever going to work. So, yeah.
Well, and I think there's just this knowing between the two of us that it's life and business coexist in the way that we each choose. And then we figure out, okay, well, how does that work together with the CEO Besties? And I think, me showing up on a podcast, there's nothing to prove, it's more just really honoring where you're at, how you're feeling, and what your capacity is in any given season.
Yes, I love that. And I feel like that's really why it works because from the get-go, everything from the CEO Besties and building our businesses, it's been on this shared values. Like when we
Yeah.
first met, everything was the connection we had was because we had these underlying shared core values. And that's how our journey unfolded. And also, just through the conversations, through the rooms of the ambitious women that we've called to our space and just building alongside each other and paying attention to what was actually working.
Yes, totally. So we're going to tell you how we met and that fun story, and basically how a DM turned into 2 sold out masterminds in 2025, a full year of like building our in-person business and community, and then how all of that led to our new membership, which is the Launchpad Society. And the Launchpad Society is really for women who are building businesses that support their lives, and really going back to that, your life and business need to coexist in a way that works and feels good.
Love it. Okay, so we want to take it back to how we actually met because it was so casual that it almost feels funny now. Like, I
Yeah.
know we've told this story a few times, so some of you listeners may have heard it, but it really is so crazy how it just organically unfolded.
Yeah.
So, Emily and I were at a mutual friend's women's circle. And actually, that friend was part of our mastermind as well. Um, but we were just celebrating and grounding in the fall equinox of 2024. And I believe it was like September or October. And I remember I didn't know anyone at the circle but Nicole, who was our mutual friend. And this was right around the time that I had completed my coaching certification program. I was still in corporate, but I had this like goal. I'm going to leave my corporate job by December 31st. So it was only 2 or 3 months out. And I remember being so nervous and timid about sharing that I was a mindset coach because I was still so deep in this persona of like this corporate career that I had had. So when someone says, "Oh, what do you do?" I would always say, "Oh, I'm a director of customer success and account management for a tech startup." And this time I had prepped myself. I remember driving there, like holding the steering wheel, practicing my line of like, "Hi, I'm Natalie Bernacki, and I'm a mindset coach for female entrepreneurs." And so when we were sitting in the circle and they go around to each woman and you introduce yourself, I said it. And I remember it being so anticlimactic because everyone was just like, "Oh, cool, on to the next person." But for me, it was such a big deal.
What were
But
you picturing in your head that was going to happen that was like so scary?
honestly, I have no idea. I just feel like that version of me sitting in that circle is so different than this version of me today.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know what I was thinking. I think I was so used to being in this status quo of like being in corporate is what you're supposed to do. It's
Yeah.
responsible.
It's safe.
Um, it's totally safe. And for me to be like out of the box, I'm a mindset coach and I'm running my own business and kind of making my own rules. It felt risky and it felt almost like, what are they going to think this is? Is this a real job? You
Yeah.
know,
Or
when
like a cute
actually,
little passion project or something.
exactly. And now looking back, I'm like, those were actually my own
Yeah.
like projections
Yeah.
on
Aren't
myself
they, aren't
because
they always though?
always, because
Yeah.
everyone else was like totally like, "Oh, that's normal." But little did I know it was a big moment for you too, Emily.
Yeah. It absolutely was.
Because later I got a DM from you a
But
few
months later.
a month later, yeah, so it had been a little bit.
Yeah.
And you said something like, uh, you mentioned you were a mindset coach, and now I've gone on this deep dive into what mindset coaching is,
Yeah.
and I would love to go on a walk and pick your brain or grab coffee and pick your brain or
Yeah.
something like that. So, what was going through your head when I introduced myself in the circle as a mindset coach?
Um, Probably not that much went through my head in that moment, except for what is a mindset coach, and I like need to know what that is. But now that I've like unpacked it over the past year, and obviously we know each other really well now, I like was on my own personal development journey. You came from corporate, but I came from kind of like quote stay at home mom label. And I was really wanting something for myself. I just didn't quite know what it was or what it was going to look like, but I was kind of searching and open to opportunities. So when I heard mindset coach, I was like, first of all, I don't even know what that is, but I know that it's everything I've been searching for. I just didn't have have a label for it.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I literally went home and was like Googling, like, how do you become a mindset coach? What do you do? How does it work? Um, I can't remember anymore why it took me a minute to reach out. I think I didn't even have your contact. And I think I was kind of, oh, should I ask for it? And then I think probably some limiting beliefs were coming up of like, oh, well, is this weird? We don't know each other, something like that. Um, but I just decided like, what do I have to lose?
Yeah.
Worst that happens is she says no
And
or doesn't respond.
it's so funny too, because I feel like we all have these. So when you reached out to me, I was like, oh my God. I remember telling my husband, I was like, oh my gosh, this woman, Emily, just reached out to me and like it obviously resonated with her. And I can't believe it. Like I was like so, I don't know, shocked. I was like, it's just not what you think the other person is going to think. Like you may have
Yeah.
been thinking, oh, is this weird? But I was like so excited that you had
Yeah.
reached out, you know?
Yeah, no, it's totally true.
Oh my gosh.
And I feel like there's so many moments where you were vulnerable and brave and you did something that stretched yourself and then you get this like incredible feedback of like
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the story unfolds from there, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we joke around because you asked me on our first date.
Yep.
No, we went on a walk, a long walk, and we just talked about mindset coaching and our individual, like, sort of goals and dreams for our individual businesses. And I do remember you sharing about like you were a stay at home mom, but there were also so many other elements and facets and things that you were doing
Yeah.
more than a stay at home mom. And also like being what people say, like just a stay at home mom.
Yeah.
That's also incredible if that's what you choose to do. And it's
Of course.
also the hardest job on this planet. And you were doing a lot more.
Yeah. That was a big shift for me, which was I had been putting myself in a box. Nobody else was doing that. It was me. And so in that moment, it was really like expanding. Wait, I'm so much more than, a mom. I'm a mom and all these other things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I remember we were kind of finishing up the walk and you said something like, wouldn't it be so cool if we just got a group of women together, moms? Because at the time we were both obviously in our motherhood,
Yeah.
building businesses. Wouldn't it be so cool if we did something where we would have kind of like a mastermind group? And you're like, I don't know if anyone would do that. And I'm like, I would do that. That sounds amazing. And you were like, I think it was like maybe a week later, you asked me if I would co host. And again, I was like so honored and blown away. Like I couldn't believe
Yeah.
it. But the rest is history. Like that's how the Rocket Ship Mastermind was born.
Yeah. No, it's an unbelievable story. And like I can remember all those moments. And even me going home to my husband and saying, I actually said this idea out loud of like the, mastermind-esque, and Natalie was so excited and she would join. It's like then all of a sudden the sparks are flying and you just like have that energy where you just want to run with it, which is
Yeah,
such a cool feeling.
it really is. It really is.
So, I mean, really, once we said that out loud, I texted you to co-host it. You responded, yes, I think, something like that. Um, I mean, within weeks, like it all just moved really fast. And a big learning for us in 2025 was just like, it was so simple. It was a few text messages, a few emails, a Canva flyer that I just, kind of came up with, and a Venmo account, and that was it. There was nothing fancy. There was no bells and whistles. And, initially, I think we probably thought we'd get a handful of people. I had a few friends that were all starting businesses, so I had them in mind. And, I think we had 8 people join and then we had kind of more people trickle in. And I remember having a conversation saying like, I think we need to cut this off. Like if it gets too big, you can't be vulnerable. It's not as safe space like it would be with a smaller group.
Mhm.
And more people were wanting to join. And I remember we would be saying, well, this person's really like passionate about, and I just think it'd be such a perfect fit. And can we squeeze them in? So we squeezed up to 16 and then we really did cut it off because we just felt like that was going to be a good number. And then we had our first meeting. And I mean, keep in mind, and I didn't even, I think we had coffee and maybe got together one more time for a walk, maybe two times, but it
I
was over.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we, got together specifically for the purpose of, planning the first meeting.
Okay. But we hadn't
We
like,
didn't really know each other that well, you know?
and it was over the holidays kind of where, people, you were traveling, I was traveling. And I remember you walking in and me being like, this is so wild. There's like 16 people. It was at my beach house and in the living room. And I don't even know you. And I hope this goes well. I was super nervous because I was like, well, kind of what are we doing? And did we plan this enough? And then literally from the moment everyone was in that circle and, we introduced ourselves and we said kind of why we started this, you could feel the energy. It was like a mix of just pure excitement, but also like such a safe place. I feel like from the moment people walked in the door, they felt really safe. That first evening, a lot of women were super vulnerable.
Mhm.
Um, and we didn't even need to talk. Like we both knew
Yeah.
this was it. This is the business.
It really was so interesting because, firstly, I would have never known you were nervous. I was also very nervous, but I do feel like it was like I was sitting there and I remember just feeling like, wow, this is just so organic. Like,
Yeah.
we really didn't have to do, it was like, yes, we had worked to make sure this was going to be like a really good first meeting. We put a lot of intention, and even though it wasn't, we didn't start it as being the business, we did put a lot of intention into it, and we wanted to make this a space where these women and ourselves were really committed to this full year ahead of building our businesses and accomplishing goals and doing great things. And I do remember sitting there and just being like, wow, it didn't feel hard. I
No.
don't know how to really explain that. We put the work in, we put the effort in, we were super intentional, but it didn't feel hard or challenging. It just felt so easy.
Well, I think this
Really
is the
good.
intuition piece. We've
Yeah.
talked a few times about like, how did we know to say yes to this? How did, we barely knew each other, all these things. And we both just, I think, I don't want to speak for you, but like we followed our intuition and what felt really good and natural and like the
Yeah.
obvious next step.
Yes, definitely. And the other thing that came to mind, I remember pretty much right away was how incredible it is that each woman in that room was specifically called. It wouldn't
Yeah.
have been the same container, the same magic if it wasn't for every single woman in there that decided to join. And hearing everyone's individual stories and hearing everyone's sort of background and where they want to go, it just made so much sense why everyone was there
Yeah.
and why we were all in this together. And I feel like it also just highlighted the importance of community. And I think a lot of what we learned about this year was how important community is and what community taught us. So,
100%. Like I remember being in I still can like, it brings a smile to my face, looking around that circle and just feeling like, wow, like each
mhm.
woman is so powerful in her own right. And you could just feel it. And we forgot to mention that we had the first group and then we had more people wanting to join because we were
Yeah.
posting about it and talking about it. And the women in the group were talking about it to friends. So all of a sudden we had more people wanting to join. And that led to our second group, which filled up to 16 immediately too, which I think also was an important moment because it just showed us like, wow, not only are people really called to this and really needing it, it's the power of women coming together. And like you said, it's just been such an incredible learning for both of us this year of just like what community can do.
Yeah, it really is. You're right. That second group really validated, there was such a need for this
Yeah.
in our local community, but then just greater than that, it goes to show that just as human beings, we need connection, and entrepreneurship is hard, and building alone is what you hear all the time from entrepreneurs. It's like that's why people give up, because they feel so alone in their isolated little island. But when you have community, it makes everything so different. So I will say, like, community, I think we both learned it became our fastest accelerator that we've ever seen in business. And from that first day of our meetings, the women who were, most of them, complete strangers to us and to one another for the most part, they dropped in immediately.
Yeah.
Like, it was wild to see how fast it happened and how quickly and how comfortable and how vulnerable they were able to just open up in such a short amount of time. Like, even in that first meeting that we were talking about. So, what was in those meetings, what was the most impactful thing that you noticed?
Oh, so many things. I think like you said, I mean, for people that are total strangers to drop in like that. And I actually reflected that back to, because all these women are friends now. And it's like I reflected that back to them and they said, it's because you and Natalie. And I was so flattered and shocked. It's like they said, you just created this space that was inspiring and supportive. And, there was structure to it, but also freedom to just show up as you are and in whatever season you are. And the nice thing about women with full lives is like there's this understanding
Mhm.
that you might not get elsewhere of just how full it is and, I don't know, just how you're showing up and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. And, I remember thinking about that too when we got that feedback from the women in the group of like how we created a safe space. And I think that does go back to the intention that we put into it.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we were building this out, we really did start with our values and the values that we wanted to lead this group with, one of which was we even laid the ground rules. Like, day one, this is a safe place. This is where
Yeah.
you can open up. Everything that is said in here stays here. And it really, I think, it's sort of like when one woman starts
Yeah.
and they are vulnerable, it's reciprocated. And the more like each woman shares, the easier it is for collectively everyone to do so. And I don't know, it was just so cool to see like how quickly it happened. And I also think that it allowed them to kind of let these thoughts that were in their head, these limiting beliefs that we all have, they were able to see, oh my gosh, I'm I'm not the only one with those.
Yeah.
Like, all these other women have it too. I'm not alone. And oh my gosh, I can't believe she thinks that about herself, because there's no way, she's
Yeah.
amazing. And
Yeah.
then it reminds you, like, wow, okay, this is just a limiting belief. I can get past this.
Yeah.
And then their confidence would grow because they knew they weren't alone. They weren't getting in their own head. They had support from the other women. And it was almost like they were able to show up and borrow each other's confidence. It was just amazing.
Absolutely. And I think to add to that, it's when you have a space to say something out loud, like I am scared of this, or one woman hadn't launched her course for 2 years. It was done. And to come that first evening and literally say that out loud, within weeks, she had launched it, had a 5-figure launch. And I literally think it was as simple as like being able to get that out of your body, say it,
Mhm.
move on, clear it, get clarity about what you actually want. Cause that was like the first thing that we did was, what's your big, huge, scary vision? And we had
Mhm.
to really push them like bigger vision, bigger vision. And then I remember we did one exercise where we did say something like, give us your biggest vision for kind of life and business. And a lot of them kept really small. They were scared. And when we had them do it a second time, all of a sudden, all of them have these incredible visions for their life. And it was pouring out. I think we said you had to talk for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They said, we can't talk for 10 minutes. Like, that's way too long. But all of a sudden, 10 minutes was going by and they had more to say because
Yeah.
we all have it in us. It's just, are we allowing ourselves to say it out loud? So to have this space where you're encouraged to say it, is so, so powerful.
Yeah. That was really really powerful. And I do
Yeah.
remember that we had everyone go and we were like, we're not letting you get away with this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and same with us. We kind of had to do the pre work before we did that because we also realized we were previously never gave ourselves the permission to think that big,
Yeah.
because we also weren't surrounded by other women who were thinking big where that was just normal, where like you think really big and like even the first round, I do remember like the women saying what their big vision was, and they felt like that was really big.
Yeah.
But we knew there was so much more. And so then when they really pushed themselves and stretched themselves with these big ideas and wild visions were coming out, and they thought there's no way I'm going to be able to accomplish these things. But then by the end of the year, they did.
Yeah. No, and that like makes me emotional thinking about it, especially because we're just at the end of 2025.
I know. Yeah, it was so cool. And also, I think I really loved seeing the women not only transform just like in their identity, but also in the trust that they had in their own selves.
Yeah.
They were able to lean into that intuition, able to discern their next steps. They weren't second guessing themselves. And the steps that felt best for them in the season they were in, and knowing like, nope, this is what is meant for me. I'm not going to worry about what society thinks, even like honestly, what my family members thinks, what my best friend thinks. They are doing what is best for them. And by ultimately doing that for themselves, it's better for their families. It's better for the people that are around them. And I feel like those were some of the most powerful things of just being in community with one another.
Well, I would say for myself, at least, like that self trust piece was it changed my life. Like when
Yeah.
I really learned to like listen to myself, my body, my intuition, and trust, like it changed the whole business. I don't know if you'd say the same for yourself.
Oh my gosh, 100%. Yes. And when you see another woman standing in that kind of like in their own truth, rock solid and just in their conviction of like this is what is right for me and they're making their decisions based off of that and you see it working for them,
Yeah.
then you're like, okay, this is what I need to be doing. It's like this proof of what's possible if you lean into what's feeling in alignment for you.
Yeah. Well, and it's amazing when you really stand in that conviction, the outside people actually stop questioning you. When
Yeah.
you stand tall and confident and like, I know that I'm going to do this big thing because I trust myself. It's
Uh-huh.
unbelievable how people just stop questioning you. But when you show
Yeah.
up in that energy of, I maybe might someday start this little tiny thing, it's like people have opinions. And that was learning number 1,000,001 for me this year, you know?
Oh, yeah. And also on that note, I think it's repetition and practice. And I think that's another thing that you get from being in a community of where you're consistently meeting with the same people because you're able to practice like putting yourself out there. Some things are going to quote unquote fail, which I now don't even believe in failure. I think they're just
No.
learnings.
Yes,
And
100%.
realizing like it's not that scary. If
Yeah.
it doesn't work out, okay, you come back to the drawing board, you try something else, but you tried it. And it's really not that scary. So I
Mm.
think that's also what made the women and ourselves like transform and grow so fast was because we were taking the action. The women were going out there and actually trying things and they were not scared anymore.
Yeah.
Like when we all started, we all had these and limiting beliefs come up at every single stage in
100%.
business no matter what level you're at, but you're also taking action and you're not as scared anymore because you know that it's not the end of the world.
You're right. I mean, it's absolutely just a muscle. And like I love to tell my kids, and I think I said it in the mastermind probably a few times, is like everything is hard until it's easy. And once I saw that quote, I think a year or two ago, it changed everything because I thought, oh, this is only hard because I haven't done it enough times. And
Mhm.
so it's my favorite thing because you're right. It's just a muscle, it's a skill, it's just practice. And the more you realize, oh, I did that. It wasn't so hard. It wasn't so scary. Let me try this other thing. Um, it's just a ripple effect.
It really is. And we have a bunch of examples of businesses that move forward, like from our mastermind. So the women who started in this mastermind, I know you talked about one of them who had a course that was totally professionally edited, ready to go. Everything was set up and it was sitting there for 2 years. She pressed publish like a week or two after. I want to say it was like 2 weeks after starting
Yeah.
in the mastermind or
It was
something like
pretty
that.
quick, or it felt quick
Pretty-
at the time.
Yeah. And we have another woman who she came to support a friend.
Yeah.
She wasn't even planning to start her own business, but she knew that she loved making floral arrangements as a side hobby. And just a few months in, she started doing it and generating revenue. And now, by the end of the year, she had turned her passion project into an actual revenue generating business with strategy and a plan and a vision and a future for it. And it's just been so incredible to see that unfold.
Yeah. Well, and with
Um,
her, just in our like strategy session with her, like that unfolding of like a subscription model that felt
mhm.
so good to her. And she's expanding and finding ways to like have this consistent revenue, which is just unbelievable.
And with that, the interesting thing is that in our spaces, whether it's the membership or the mastermind, all of these women, the common thread is that they're female entrepreneurs, female founders. However, they're from all different industries.
Yeah.
So the woman who did the course, she was a fashion executive and creates on-demand apparel lines and teaches people how to do their own on-demand printing apparel line business. And then we have this woman who was the florist, for example. And then we have another pair that Hillary and Yaya, and they've been longtime business partners running a fitness studio. And they had this vision of launching a fitness product or fitness accessories line, and they did it. They did it this year. They had their vision. They put it to market. They designed it. They did their launch, and we were able to have a front row seat to watch. But the cool thing about that is that regardless of the industry, they're able to share with one another what's working, what's not working, and it's all the same. All the fundamentals of building a business, it's really not that different from industry to industry, and you're able to take what's working and what's not working and apply it to your own business from other people's learnings. So that was really awesome to just watch.
Absolutely. And back to Hillary and Yaya, they had wanted to launch their product for, I forget how many years, but a long time. Like it had been on their kind of long term vision board. And they said it was really just like, okay, we're doing it. Like this is the year. And they really did it. And their launch was so incredible. Like they just did such an amazing job. And it was honestly inspiring for me to watch them and how they showed up in that launch and how they handled it and all their social media and all of it. So proud of them. So awesome. And actually, I have on my desk their socks that I need to open the
Ugh,
package.
I
Um,
love their socks. I wear them,
I'm so excited.
they're grip Pilates socks, but I wear them like in my regular shoes as socks because they're so cute.
Oh my God. I know I literally came home from London to this package and I like haven't opened it yet, but I need to. Yeah, and back to your point, I think about the different industries, that wasn't something that we kind of intentionally planned in the beginning, but in hindsight, actually, I think it's the most powerful thing. I mean, people were becoming each other's clients, which is amazing. The referrals, just in the group chat, it's like, I need this or I'm struggling with this. And 5 people would respond and kind of just say, oh, you should use this person, or yeah, I don't know. Or here, I'm going to refer you over to my friend who needs this. And I think there's definitely something special about having so many different industries, like we said, and getting to learn from each other and also different levels of experience with business too. I think some people can think that they want to be in a room with everybody who's exactly the same. But actually, I think the power is being in that mixed experience and just, yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And for example, like if you're in a newer phase or beginning stages of building a business, you're learning from the people who have been there, done that, carved the path before you. And also, on the other end of that, if you're in a higher level of business, you've just had a little bit more experience, you're a little farther along, you still need the perspective of someone new building a business because, like we started out this episode with, we were talking about how simple it was.
Yeah.
Just getting back to the basics. And I see a lot of times in entrepreneurs, we even got caught up in this. We start to make it more complicated than it has to be.
Yes.
And it really doesn't need to be that complicated, even if you're further along and you have a more developed strategy or um, more learnings. It's just always going back to the basics. And I feel like the entrepreneurs who have a little bit more experience are able to see that in the newer entrepreneurs. And so it's a constant reminder and their market research. Like
Yeah.
we're all market research for one another, regardless of what phase in business we're in. So that was also a really awesome awareness and thing to see.
Well, yeah, and everybody just has such different skills that they're bringing to the table, regardless of where they're at in business. It's like just life skills, knowledge of different things. And so, yeah, it is amazing to see how everybody plays off each other and supports each other. And I think, we had 32 women that we worked with for the better part of 2025. And we learned a lot from that because we call our mastermind the rocket ship. And we really learned who is a fit for the rocket ship. And then from that, we kept seeing like this other stage of business that we really wanted to support. And so for the rocket ship, we really realized it's for women who are ready to move fast and scale right now. They're already all in on their business. They treat their business like a business. And they have that identity of, I'm the CEO of my business. And so they've already stepped into that. And that other stage that we kept noticing, it was these women with really big ideas and ambition. They just don't have that foundation yet. They're kind of stuck between this is a side thing and this is a real business. And we kept talking about like they would benefit from this mastermind so much. We kept having these conversations of like, how can we support these women that need this foundational element so that they can really, build that foundation and then scale in a way that feels good and goes back to supporting their life. So, Natalie, when we kept seeing like that kind of gap in the women who really needed to build that foundation, what was coming up for you when you were seeing that?
So it quite honestly, it reminded me of myself a few years back. Like at that time, I wanted to go all in on my business, but I was building the business in the cracks of my day.
Yeah.
And I literally just didn't know where to start. I was also really shy, like talking about that persona of the CEO, what I was mentioning when I showed up at that women's circle, like really trying to get in that persona, but I wasn't embodied in it.
It
And so
still shocks me when you talk about that, knowing you now.
I know. Now it's like I don't even want to talk about who that corporate person
Yeah.
was. I'm so embodied in who I am.
Yeah.
But I remember um really kind of just like dismissing it. Like I would say, "Oh, my real job title, like what I really do is I'm in the tech startup world. I build customer success teams. And I also have this side thing. Sometimes I kind of coach female entrepreneurs. And I was really like just belittling it, you
Yeah.
know? And could you imagine like if you were talking about your children like that or, or like,
Yeah.
like you're just kind of like, oh, but it's just this small thing.
Right.
I knew how to coach and I knew how to build relationships with people. I had been in business for 15 plus years in the corporate world. But I was like, still, when I started my business, I was like, oh my goodness, there's this whole other side of things, the starting my own business side that I still need to learn how to do on my own. So I needed to go through my own personal development journey to learn the foundations of how to build my own business and learn how to step into that identity. There's those different elements of it. You've got that mindset piece, you've got that business strategy piece. And I couldn't have done that without community. And there were a lot of learnings, a lot of flops and fails. And I do remember wishing I had that group around me at that same time. So I remember thinking, like, when we were in that mastermind meetings and when we were starting to see those different women showing up time after time, the ones who literally didn't know where to start or what to do, they're building the business in the cracks of their day. I remember thinking, man, I wish that I had this when I was at their stage.
Yeah.
And honestly, not until I met you did I actually feel like I had someone to bounce ideas off of, to share what was coming up, to be vulnerable with, because I have a lot of friends and, a lot of people in my life who I love, but they're not doing what I'm doing and they don't understand what I'm doing. So to have someone else to truly understand when I'm saying something, to be like, no, I get that.
Yeah.
I have gone through that, or I am going through that right now. It's it's can't be replaced by, someone else who's doing something different.
Yeah. And to have that mirror of, sometimes it is new people in your life, as much as we love all of the, everybody we've known forever. I have that same feeling of like, I love my friends, I love all of my relationships, but sometimes the new people give you that mirror of like, what are you talking about that you're shy? Or what, and it's like they help stretch you to that next level. Whereas no faults of theirs, the people that have known you for so long, they just know you in one way. So it's hard for them to like flip that and see you in a new way until you really start showing up in that way.
I
Um,
agree.
and so it
Yeah.
is kind of like the power of who you're surrounding yourself with, especially when it comes to something new like business. Yes, you've had this long corporate career, but like you said, those business elements, it's a new skill that you have to learn and practice and kind of figure out.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of those things were sort of how I think we both realized that there was this gap and this need in our local community, in the greater community, just in the industry in general. Like, for example, when I first started my business, I was searching around. There were tons of high level masterminds and private coaching options available, but they weren't really built for me at that time. I
Yeah.
wasn't this entrepreneur who was farther along with a big audience, and I just felt like there wasn't an option for who I was at that point in my journey. For who I was at that time was the woman who literally just needed to know like the fundamental elements, the foundational elements of how to start a business. And I didn't have all this money to spend on a high level coaching because I wasn't quite there yet.
Yeah.
Um, so I think there needed to be a space that was more accessible for these women. And I think that was something we realized pretty quickly on. And that is what really brought us to our why. This idea for the Launchpad Society came from real conversations and clearly a real need for women who need support at the early stages of building a business. A space that would teach you how, in the support of other like minded women, where maybe they're not quite ready for those 20K masterminds, but they are ready for help at an accessible price point. And there were so many women reaching out to us from, social media when we would post about our mastermind meetings, or when we were on our walks, or when other women would repost our things. And they would reach out and say, "Oh my gosh, I wish I had a community like that here.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that here. There's nothing like that in-person thing here." And so we wanted to think about, how can we make this not only accessible from a price point for this type of woman who's needing these foundational elements in the early stages of their business, um, and where they could be anywhere. They didn't have to be here in the South Bay where we live, but how could we bring that sort of like magic that we felt in person to a virtual platform? So I don't know. Do you remember when we first started talking about this, creating this virtual community? And did you have any concerns about going virtual?
I didn't have any concerns, and I probably should have, because it was a big learning that like going from in person to online is a learning curve for us as we built that. It's just a entirely different really business model. So there was a lot of learning there. And I think back to the magic comment, like it was so important to us that we would build this virtual. We knew we needed to do something virtual. We had so many people asking and saying, I want to be part of this. How can I be part of this? So we knew we wanted to go in that direction. It was a question of how do we keep the magic of in person and build like this incredible online community. And we spent a lot of time really like thinking through that. And even now it's like constant conversation of just like, how do we keep that magic, make people really feel part of this community? Because we feel so strongly about that. Um, and, we wanted to create something that wasn't location dependent. So anybody could and serve as many people as possible, because obviously in person, we love it and it lights me up in a way that I could never explain. But we want to help as many people as possible and create something that we're proud of. And so just because it's virtual, we didn't want to sacrifice depth. And I think the other thing that was so important to us that we really talked about was how do we blend our three core pillars, which is mindset. We're both certified mindset coaches from QCA, and business strategy and really building out those foundational elements. And then also community. How do we blend all those in a way that really support each other? A lot of memberships are really heavy on one of those pillars. And so we really feel like you can't have one without the other, and they all play off each other. So that was really important to us too, as we were building out the Launchpad Society.
So true. You really do need all three. I personally haven't seen anyone be successful in business firsthand that didn't have a good mindset and belief in themselves or their business, because you could have a great strategy, but if you don't believe in yourself, it's not going to work. And vice versa. You could have the best mindset in the world, but if you don't have a good strategy, it's not going to work. And if you don't have a community to support you with going through, all of the stages in business and all the things that you're doing, you're building in isolation. You can really get in your head, especially for the early stage entrepreneurs. So you really do need all three. And to your point, it was really challenging for us to find a space for our own growth and our own development that had all three. And we kept finding that there were, coaches and memberships and masterminds that were really heavy in one of those, but didn't have all three. And so we really needed something that did, and we ended up creating it ourselves. So when I left corporate, it was scary. I was building alone. I was getting in my own head. I was super frazzled because I didn't have the structure or systems right away. And if I had had that support, I feel like, yes, entrepreneurship would still have been work. It is challenging and hard to build a business, but it wouldn't have been so hard.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have spent so much time and money on the mistakes that I made in my first year.
Absolutely. And so honestly, it's through all of our learnings from building a business and through the women in our community and the women who just kept showing up. One thing we got really clear on is that the Launchpad isn't for everyone. And that clarity actually is really important. The Launchpad Society is for women with big visions and really full lives. It's for women who are in a full season of life and still really ambitious. They're building a business around, school drop-offs and nap times and just really busy calendars. And they're ready to treat their dream like a priority, not a hobby. They're ready to move from one day to this is happening right now. And they want that structure that fits their life so that their business really supports their life, not the other way around. And it's just for women who are ready to go from, side hustle to that CEO identity, which is such a game changer. What else am I missing, Natalie?
So it's so important for women to see what's possible for them through being in community with others. And not every city has an in-person mastermind where they can get the support to build their business. So for me, if I hadn't been in communities to see women actually doing the damn thing, I wouldn't have been able to see what's possible for me. I wouldn't have been able to say, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And so we really wanted to make sure there was space for women who aren't local to Manhattan Beach, where we have our masterminds, but that wanted to be in the room. So the way we like to describe it is that the Launchpad is designed as this on-ramp into the CEO Besties community. It's where you set up your foundations the right way before the acceleration happens, before you're ready to get on that rocket ship. It's where you start to get all the systems and structures in place from the beginning so that you are prepared and ready to soar and ready to scale. If you aren't prepared and you start to scale before you're ready with an unstable foundation, that business is going to come crashing right down to the ground and your life will be so much more stressful. So, Emily, what would you say sets the Launchpad Society apart from other online memberships or spaces for female entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think it's important that we talk about this because there's a few things that really stand out as we've done our market research and really looked at the landscape of like what's out there. The first one would be life first business design is just a complete non-negotiable for us. It's a core value and of both of ours, and then a core value of our joint business and the community that is the CEO Besties. Number two, as we mentioned earlier, it's this combo of all three. It's the mindset, strategy, and community all together. We see communities that are strong in one, but not all three. And we really can't stress enough how important and just vital it is to have all three elements equally represented. Like Natalie mentioned before, business strategy is so important. It's mindset that really moves the needle. And if you can have those working together and then combine community, which is just going to expand your vision times 1,000, I mean, that's the magic sauce. And also without community and without that strong mindset, it's really easy to give up. I mean, I have definitely had moments in business where I thought, what the hell am I doing? Like why did I think this was a good idea? Should I give up? Those moments are going to happen at any level.
Mm-hmm.
And having that community support, having that strong mindset to really push through those moments, that's where you're going to see success.
Mm-hmm.
And then number three, we really like this has come up a lot recently is we support discernment over, shiny objects and noise. The internet can be so overwhelming and it's like, try this, try that. Here's this new thing that if you do it, you're going to be successful overnight. Follow me, look at this, try this strategy, pay this money. It's really, really easy. And we've both been guilty of it ourselves of, let me try these 10 different strategies and then wonder why none of them are working. Well, they're not working because we're spread so thin and you can't kind of carve out a clear path.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just truly, as females with full lives, there is noise everywhere, in our personal life, in our business. And when we can really be discerning and really get clear on what the core values are, where we're going, what we're building, and what we want it to look like, you're showing up so much stronger than when you're just floundering with all these strategies. And even with us, it's like, we hit this moment of like, okay, we're going so big. Let's pile on the projects and pile on the tasks and let's add this. And every new idea needs to happen right now. And it took a big step back to just say, hold on, let's get back to our core values, get back to exactly what we want to build. And a deep knowing that not everything needs to be built all at once. We can do this one step at a time in a way that feels good. But it takes a lot of kind of knowing yourself and listening to your body and knowing really what works for you. And so we really focus on just leaning into that. What feels good for you? What makes sense for your business, for your season of life? What's every strategy needs to really fit you and what you're building, and every business is unique, every person is unique, and so it really needs to speak to that uniqueness. Otherwise it's just not going to work. And if you can get that discernment, that's really what's going to help you stay the course. And the last one is I kind of already talked about it, but it's subtraction as a growth strategy. And it's just that it's taking away all of the noise. Really, instead of adding things on your plate, it's take them off, or push them out later. It's like, how can we make your week flow, feel good? And how can we stop you from feeling burnt out? Well, subtraction is the way to do that. Adding too many things to your plate is the quickest way to burn out. Um, and you need space for your ideas and for your business to breathe and evolve in a way that you can't always plan. Things are going to unfold in a certain way. And you need space to just allow the business to unfold. And of course, we're taking aligned action and having a big vision, and we're also giving the business space to breathe.
So I couldn't agree with you more. The last 2 points you made, I think, were my biggest learnings this year personally. And all of these elements that you talked about really went into how we built and structured the Launchpad Society, because they're also important when you're building a business. And there are a lot of things that I've joined, and I know you've joined, where it almost makes you feel more overwhelmed because the memberships or the courses or whatever it is that you're joining, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to do this and this strategy is going to help me go farther faster, but it actually just creates more overwhelm. So we were so intentional about really being strategic of what we're putting into the membership to not feel like you have too much on your plate and not to give you more work, but to actually help you remove it. And so what you get as a Launchpad Society member, you get monthly hot seat coaching calls where you get to bring a business question, a challenge, or market research so that you're getting the help you need live on that call. It's also super helpful to hear the questions from your peers because their questions you will likely not even know you needed to hear the answers to. We have monthly live guest expert workshops and masterclasses with strategies you'll actually use. So these aren't things that we're just throwing out to you to say, okay, here's some more fluff. Here's some more things that you need. No, these are actual workshops and masterclasses from experts that will teach you the fundamentals of building your business the right way from the start. And they're also there for you when you're ready. So yeah, you can show up live, but they're also going to be in the portal and they're also going to be there at the time that when you're ready to approach that stage in your business. We have a job board. So similar to how we were talking about in our mastermind, where the women were actually becoming each other's clients and referrals, you can list what services you offer. And the women in the community may be the perfect fit for you, or they may know people that need your services and vice versa. If you're looking for some sort of service or product to help you in your business, you might have someone in the community that can help you firsthand. We also have the Launchpad Lounge, which is our online private community. And this is a place where you can just connect with the other members. You can bounce ideas off of one another. You can celebrate wins and support each other. So it's there for you live in real time. And then the collabs, the CEO collabs. This was also something that we felt was really big in the communities that we've built here, is you're going to have connection with other like-minded women that are ready for friendships and collaborations. They wouldn't be in this community if they weren't ready for that. And collaborations are some of the ways where the fastest ways that you can grow and expand your visibility and also kind of share the work. So you're each putting in effort. You're not having to do it all by yourself. And I already talked about the business referrals, but that is something where by meeting these women and collaborating with them in this community, when they have a friend that needs some sort of service, you're going to be the first person they think about. So let's just say you're a copywriter. If they don't need a copywriter, but maybe some friend of theirs does, you're going to be the go-to person that they recommend because they know that you do it and you do it well because they work with you in this community. And then last but not least, the Launchpad Vault. That's our portal where it's going to have all of the tools, plug and play templates. Again, we don't want to add to the things you have going on in your day. So the templates that will be in the portal in the vault, they're going to be for marketing, sales, ops, systems, social media, and they're going to be things that are going to help fast track you, not add more work to your plate.
I hope you can see we've really built this with a lot of intention. And it's so important to us that what we create is valuable and really has, like we mentioned a few times, has that magic of the in-person. It has the community, it has the mindset, it has the business strategy. And so the Launchpad exists to help women turn their vision into something real. And we're so excited about it. So before things get loud or fast or so overwhelming, because trust us, that's why so many entrepreneurs don't make it. It's a lot. And without the right systems and structure in place, it can get out of hand pretty quickly.
It really can. And just like you mentioned, Emily, the Launchpad Society is to help women design life and business together to build a business that supports the life that you want to live, not what someone else tells you that your life should look like. And for that to actually happen, you need it from the beginning stages of building your business. You need to set it up to support the life that you want. So the Launchpad is where you will feel supported, clear, confident, and not alone. And entrepreneurship, as you know, is very lonely. It just is. It's just part of it. And being in community is everything when you're building a business.
And we also just want to take a moment to share the gratitude for the women who shaped this first year for us. It was an incredible group of 32 women who really helped us shape the CEO Besties and into what it is today, which is amazing. And honestly, makes me feel emotional to just really look back on this year.
It does. And we're just so excited to kick things off in 2026 with the Launchpad Society, our virtual membership for female entrepreneurs building a business. And if you're still here listening, then we would love to chat with you to see if this is the right fit for you. You'll find 2 links in the show notes. So if you're ready to sign up right now, there's a link to sign up. If you're hearing this before January 20th, that's our first call. It's going to be hot seat coaching, and you can snag the founder's pricing while it's still available. Also, you guys, the founder's price is bonkers. I can't even believe that we're offering it right now at this price point. So definitely get in if you're able to. And the second link is to book a clarity call with us. If you're on the fence or you're just wanting to make sure that this is the right fit for you before signing up, we would love to chat and we'd love to see how we can best support you. And we'll be honest, we'll share if we think that this is the right fit for you or not. We would never want someone to join the community if we truly didn't feel like it was going to help support their journey. So we just want to wish you a very happy new year, and we can't wait to see you on the Launchpad.
Happy New Year.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Light Her Up. I hope you're feeling inspired and ready to take steps towards a life better than you ever dreamed. I see you, I hear you, and I'm so proud of you for showing up and prioritizing your journey. When you fill up your cup with love, you can pour so much more into the people and passions that matter to you most. If this episode resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you subscribed, left a review, and shared it with someone who could use a little extra light. For more, check out our weekly 5-minute meditations or connect with me on Instagram at The Light Within Collective. I'm sending you my love, and I'll catch you on the next episode.